back. Yeah.
So bitch podcast.
You can really taste the vodka when it's not cold.
Headphones.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Alright, so we usually do these things with Jubilee. Well, you guys have seen some of my videos, so you all know. We do Jubilee videos. We talk after like the next question or before the next question, what the case is. We got 2 this week. The first one is, do all disabled people think the same? Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Why they have to laugh, dude?
I don't know, because I don't know even like, because they've been doing some weird shit. Because I think they got another one this week that I think is it oversized people, something like that, or plus size.
Plus size.
Yeah.
No, I think
do
it was
all
like
plus size people.
Plus size.
I seen it on I just on Instagram, on their Twitter, or some shit like that. Well, it's probably on their YouTube.
I mean, they probably just got to reach for something like That's
at this point, they kind of probably running out of shit.
Yeah.
At this point, because they've been doing this for a while, but like they don't. The thing about I don't like about Jubilee, they don't ask like real hard,
tough questions.
They like real soft. They like.
You can tell sometimes
they poke the bear. They don't just whack that motherfucker with a stick. Yeah. So yeah, we gotta do all the disabled people think the same. Everybody's in frame. I think we're good. Can everybody see?
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Starting at 3, 2, 1.
I don't think people really see the fact that people with disabilities have sexual desires.
I have a sex swing.
That's amazing.
All right.
All right.
And now,
she was tiny. Is that her disability?
Now those laughs are required. Before we start the video. All right.
First of all, old girl,
why
she was decent.
Why would people think that disabled people don't want sex though?
Maybe
because they don't want hormones.
Sex.
No, it's just
hormones and shit.
It's just some people think that because of certain people's disability, like if you paralyzed from the waist down, they think that it don't work, but it does work. It just
it just need extra help.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not a comedian.
It's almost like you don't want to vision your parents having sex, even though they made you and shit.
Well, that's the only time my mama had sex, so I don't know what y'all talking about.
You believe that?
Yep. That's one story. I'm sticking to it.
Poor child.
Mama got a VIP access to a hotel. Oh, sorry.
Started 3, 2, 1. Would handicap be a better thing?
Disagree, somewhat agree.
I don't necessarily think that it's a bad word and that it's something we shouldn't use, but I also don't think it should be the only word that defines us either.
I understand, like, disabled, like, means not able to. And, like, I feel like I'm able to do most things that an able person can do. I just have to do them differently. I think it's a better word than words that have been used to describe me. I hate the word special. I think it's so demeaning, and like I was called it my childhood, like special ed. I literally get like chills thinking about that word. And so then disabled, I feel like, is a more mature version that doesn't hold that connotation for me.
It's only disabled and handicapped.
Differently abled.
You said differently abled?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah,
I ain't never heard that either.
Well, yeah.
I heard. I heard physically challenged.
Yeah.
Like people would say like dwarfism or something. You're vertically challenged, or if you're in a wheelchair, you're you know what I'm saying, pedestrian challenge.
I ain't never heard that. You made
pedestrian
that up.
challenge?
No, pedestrian challenge. Like that's why they have to have ramps, or you know what I'm saying, because you can't walk everywhere.
I learn something new every day. Every time we do this damn podcast.
Yeah.
So.
I'm just saying from what I hear from other people.
Right.
So it's like you know what I'm saying. I mean, that's how we get most of our information, when we hear from somebody else.
True.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it would be handicapped other than
Right.
disabled. I wasn't thinking of nothing else. That's the only thing.
I feel like the white girl got like some kind of
Down
autism
syndrome
or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm
it's different spectrums of the word. disability. So
Well, especially since she said she was called special and special ed, so yeah, it's something up there.
She can't tie her shoes.
Maybe.
Starting at 3-2.
I'm gonna say everybody should be shifted to WhatsApp.
I think
I disagree. Yeah.
Are we all? Oh, okay.
Healthcare, from my point of view, is not made for people who have chronic disabilities, chronic diseases. Even if you have medical coverage, you're still paying a portion of those bills. It's a cycle that you put yourself in debt so that you can't get a proper apartment or get a house. For the people who they count it as SSI, so it's low income Social Security, they think that you should be able to live off of like $900 a month.
There's also a thing with it, you can't have more than $2,000 in your account for checking and savings. And as soon as you hit a cent over it, you lose your Social Security because they think you're making too much.
So I have a chronic illness called idiopathic hypersomnia, which is a sleep disorder. From the onset of symptoms, it took 8 years to even get sent to a sleep doctor. And not to mention the education system. I'm so lucky that I have an IEP. I couldn't imagine what school would be like if I didn't. But even with that, getting the accommodations of like my teachers trying to understand that I only come to school 3 out of 5 days a week and that I can't do busy work because I'll fall asleep, quite literally. I legally have these rights to not do certain work, and sometimes teachers just don't understand that, and it's so hard trying to argue with them so that I can just be a normal student.
Whoa.
So she has a chronic sleep disorder.
So is it like?
I actually know somebody that actually had that shit and like they had a job.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean, it's certain jobs you obviously cannot do.
No, but it was a job they shouldn't have been doing though.
Oh,
Like she was watching kids on the school bus.
Oh no.
Like she was the
Bus
my
aide?
wife do, yeah. She was the bus aide, but she has a chronic sleep disorder. But their whole job is to ride the bus with the kids and watch the kids.
well, that's different from driving the bus. If she was the actual bus driver, then
But you're still in charge of the kids though too.
yeah.
You can't own a daycare and be like, y'all be there.
Well, I'm just saying because like it's more than just one person there. You know what I'm saying? Because like I mean, obviously the bus driver can't watch the kids and go the route at the same time. So like you still have those two people, like kind of watching out for each other, so to speak. But
It's more from the other people too.
No,
but
the more than $2,000, she said if you have 1 cent more, then they take the whole thing away.
No, they said they just stopped giving you the stipend or whatever cases. They stopped giving it to you.
So that's fucking
Right, because 2,000 ain't nothing.
See that?
No,
I think
$900 a month ain't nothing.
Yeah,
I think even with healthcare, like even for
Regular people, it's fucked up.
I think
in the first
disabled,
place.
even if it's by state, like California, like I feel like if you live in California, New York, and Chicago, you definitely should be getting way more money than someone who lives in like Oklahoma or Iowa or
because
something like that.
taxes in the city, like shit, how much shit costs,
Skyrocketing,
living,
Like
living
San
in
Diego,
anything.
man, my buddy got a 1-bedroom apartment. He's 2-bedroom is him and another guy. He's paying like $2,200 a month.
yeah.
Oh no.
Because one of my homies, he lives in California. He was telling me that he got a 1-bedroom and it's about like was it 1,300?
Yeah, probably 12, 14.
Yeah, for 1 bedroom, G.
Yeah.
1 bedroom.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I would have been in the studio so fast.
Like, damn. Studios
With
even
a
worse.
roommate.
Studios even
Right.
worse. They just about as much as the fucking 1 bedrooms, man.
So a lot of people
That's
go to
crazy.
Atlanta,
I'm not surprised though.
North Carolina. and shit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about the medical thing. Like, far as like them feeling like they don't get enough resources and shit. Because like even like people with insurance, and without insurance, like they in fucked up situations. So I can only imagine if you have some kind of
But that's fucked up too. If they give you a stipend,
constantly.
they give you a stipend however much a month, but then you still in debt, like
Yeah.
somehow. Like
It's just a fucking.
that's fucked up.
It's basically a
Like
fucking cycle.
why you giving me this money just to pay you motherfuckers back?
Right.
What's wrong with them?
That's what it is. It's a fucking cycle.
That's
So like
fucked up.
they getting the money to basically pay for whatever service they need, and they not even getting a bare minimum shit, that they need, like far as like them like living, like food, whatever, or whatever, medication and shit, transportation, like all that shit. It's like that's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah, that's nuts. Starting at the 3, 2, 1. I would assume. They don't know you, if they don't know you off rip, they don't know nothing about you.
Yeah, and every disability is different too.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people have been so understanding and accommodating and like, oh, like, you know, I heard about that from this TV show, or like, is it like this? Or like, you know, asking questions. And I think people are genuinely curious. There are people that I educate and are still ignorant and totally meanie pants. That's why I'm not on strongly disagree, because there's always going to be haters, you know, but I think people are good.
So for me, I would agree, but I would come from like a place of understanding, because I feel like even people with disabilities don't understand other people with disabilities as well, because I feel like, you know, you could have the same kind of disability, the same type, but the way it affects you could be very different. I have a disease called muscular dystrophy, and that is a wide spectrum, and so you can't really understand it, because some people, their muscles get weaker quicker than others.
I have spina bifida, and the type I have is lipomyelomeningocele. My dad served in the Vietnam War, and a chemical called Agent Orange he came in contact with, and that chemical caused my spina bifida. When you learn about spina bifida, most people think that they're wheelchair users, and it's also because the Spina Bifida Association, they only show one narrative of it, which is an issue in general across the disability spectrum. I have a channel where I educate about disability as a whole, and even people who are trying to learn still want to argue with a disabled person when we're teaching them.
That's crazy, bro.
Hey,
that's crazy.
Do y'all remember that movie Shallow Hal?
Yeah.
Jack Black and stuff. That shit was before his time, because he was talking about everything like that. Like, Shallow Hal was basically that guy who was like seeing everybody from the inside. Mm-hmm. But all these people who had these disabilities, you could see how they were hated on. Like, and his boy.
Because one of them like had a. Was that the movie that
his guy had spina bifida?
Yeah. But I think one of the girls he was messing with had like a hollow leg or something like that. Was that
she had the one leg. He said she was so beautiful, blah blah. He didn't know she had a prosthetic leg. Yeah. And then he was kissing on her leg and a joke, and it popped off. Yeah, exactly. And she ran to the bathroom, like, well, hopped to the bathroom. And then, you know, he's like, I don't care about your leg, you know what I'm saying? You're still beautiful at heart, blah, blah, blah. And that shit kind of like...
That's crazy, though. That's some fucked up shit.
It just lets you know, like, even when you look at her, like, she's
I wonder if her father is still alive.
She's short. Yeah. But dwarfism is supposed to be a...
But no, that's mine. I know, well, I don't know shit, but spina bifida, however you say it, they're usually in wheelchairs. So that's kind of surprising to me that she's even just standing up right now. Right. The case is. But it's also fucked up. I wonder if her dad is still alive for some shit from Vietnam or her great. Did she say her great grandfather or her dad?
Dad.
Okay.
So he got some shit
sexually too. Well, he got to be. I ain't gonna say he got to be dead, but shit, he got to be old as fuck or whatever the case is. But some shit to be in his system.
Yeah, from then wasn't that long ago.
Did you know like it could be passed through sexual?
That's crazy.
No, I didn't know a disability can be passed through sexually. Like,
sexually. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, because I guess because I was like, man, she said he got in contact with some weird ass chemical. Agent Orange.
Yeah, that's
I was like, yo,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, that's some shit like I didn't even know. Like I know a lot of different disabilities.
That shit been in his system,
crazy, bro.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
And then he passed through sexually. That's crazy. But like Shorty in the wheelchair was saying too, like you can have the same disease or if the case is, but like say I got it on my left side of my body, you got it on your right side, so your shit probably going faster than mine or slower than mine or some shit too. Mm-hmm. So that's just something to be knowledgeable about. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, this is a big one.
I got a lot of agrees. Somewhat agree at least.
I use a cane on and off. When I do have my cane, I like that people offer me help when I'm riding the metro or the bus, but then it's the extra comments that they think they're doing like a great deed that they're going to win a Nobel Peace Prize, and they'll start infantilizing me. Oh, you're so cute and tiny, and you're too young to be sick. I just don't like the extra comments with the help.
So I moved because I think I have a little bit of a different experience. I am 100% physically abled, so I don't have the need for people to open doors for me, or like I don't need help like that. Sometimes I have to cancel events, and my good friends understand that. And I feel like there's a difference between accommodation and patronizing.
I remember before I had my accident, I probably was one of those people that we were talking about. When someone is overly enthusiastic about it, or even sometimes unintentionally patronizing, I try, in my experiences, to instead educate them that I know I'm in a chair and I know that I look like I have a lot of issues, but trust me, I've been out here thugging it out for a while now. If I need help, I'm not ashamed to ask for it.
I've had strangers like come up behind me and just start pushing me, even though I don't necessarily need help with that. If you're somebody that I know and see that I'm struggling, then you can go ahead and probably help me wheel. But if you don't know me at all, please don't come up behind me and start trying to push me out of nowhere.
It also puts us at risk of injury. I have nerve damage in my feet, so I look down a lot when I walk because it helps me keep my balance. And then I've had people see that I'm like trying to get through, and they'll grab my arm to guide me, and I almost always fall because I'm already so in my zone. So like, just don't touch people because you could injure them.
Walk up and just touch me. That's weird as shit.
That's weird, bro.
If you feel like you need to help somebody, just ask, hey, do you need some help?
Yeah, that's what I always
touch you. I know a guy.
You can't just put your hands on him.
No, this older guy, like he's blind, bro, but he's like, I guess he was recently blind or something, like so whatever he contracted, and he's mean as fuck, bro. Like he's like
stink
hey,
right?
Yeah. He's like, and he goes to the gym, like I go to the gym I go to, and he's like, no man, don't even touch the door. I got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he has an intense face, and then he gets mad, like if you even try to open the door for him, he's like, no, I don't need the door open. Just tell me where the door at. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Some people like that.
And that's the other part of it. You're like, God damn, even when you want to be nice,
you gotta be cautious.
Punch you in your motherfucking face. You ain't gonna see this punch come. Like, but even with that, like, you know what I'm saying, just touching somebody randomly.
That's wild. That's a very.
You walk up behind somebody and start pushing their wheelchair for them and shit. Like, what the fuck?
And I kind of figured, just from knowing some people who are disabled or challenged or physically challenged, the black girl kind of figured she wasn't always disabled because her legs are not. She still has like muscle formation in her legs. She doesn't have muscular dystrophy, which is when your legs are so small because they're not being used.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder how old girl, I guess the chronic sleep disorder was, because I wonder how that is, because I would assume, like, as long as like she's active and like her mind is like moving or whatever the case is, like she won't fall asleep. Because I'm low key scared that she's gonna fall out. Like we watching this shit, because I'm just curious about how the fuck her shit goes on for the case is.
Adderall or some shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, cause I'm just trying to figure, like I'm just wondering, like every time she talks, like I really don't want her to fall out.
Do you think like medication comes in that? You know what I'm saying? Medication comes in that.
That's what she was saying.
She just said a couple years ago she finally found a damn sleep therapist too.
Yeah.
8 years though.
But but that was part of that whole. That was part of that whole spectrum.
Yeah, it ain't no telling how much that shit costs too. That medicine costs.
Yeah.
Starting to get a 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Here we go with the sex question.
We all in agreement.
So for me, it's difficult on various levels. I started having seizures when I was 18. I became sick when I was about 16. So I never got a license. I never got a car. So that impairs my ability to even go find suitors because I don't get out of my house much. And then being on Social Security, you get paid hardly anything. So I can't even afford to really go out and do a whole lot. And then on top of that, trying to explain to a man that, oh yeah, you know, just to let you know, I'm a full package, it's going to have a huge effect on our relationship, on our ability to go out, on our sex life, on everything.
I came over here because after listening to you, there's so many things that I totally resonate with, but then there's so many odd benefits that I think that comes with dating and having a disability. I got injured after a gymnastics accident when I was 14 years old. That left me quadriplegic. I never got to experience being, you know, a teenager, being wild, dating, and all of those things. The people who have been in my life, we really had to get to know each other on a deeper level first before any other physical aspects were a part of it. Anybody, disabled or able-bodied, all we want is someone who truly loves us for us, and this is me.
I'm right here because dating is not really in my focus right now, but I could see how hard it could be because, you know, I may not be able to live long, but then at the same time, I think it could also be a good thing because I think true love is when you really understand each other.
I kind of agree with that if I'm looking at my most recent relationship. My partner, he was really great. Like, he took the time to understand my disability. What made it difficult at times was when I was having a lot of kidney issues and I wasn't getting the greatest news from my doctors, and so I would be sobbing, and he just had this need that he wanted to help, and I just told him, like, I don't need anything physically from you. I just need you to just sit with me. Ever since we broke up and I've started getting back out and dating, I will get people that will ghost me because of looking able passing on like dating websites. They don't know right away, and I don't share it right away because I rather have a person conversation about it. I also hate the invasive questions that come with dating. I've been asked so many times, can you even have sex?
Or the men who fetishize it. Oh, I've had a guy ask me to bring the cane into the bedroom. Just insane, ridiculous things.
Niggas is
I've
wow.
had guys literally say they want to check it off on their bucket list to sleep with a girl in a chair, or the invasive questions that come straight off the bat. I don't think people really see the fact that people with disabilities have sexual desires.
I have a sex swing.
That's amazing.
It's the most accessible thing for me, and it's great. Like,
That's the most accessible thing.
I want her number.
That's wild, though. I can understand, like, old girl was saying, like, her guy, like, he wanted to help some type of way, whatever the case is. And that's probably why they broke up, because, like, shit, he just don't know what the fuck to do.
Right.
Like, he just stuck. Yeah, exactly. Like, he just stuck, so he don't even know where to go, or what the case is. Yeah. I can cross that off my list of gymnastics for my daughter after just hearing that shit.
Yeah, I feel like she probably broke her neck or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've been in gymnastics.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's safe. Sometimes shit
my brother
can't
broke
go
his
left.
neck, though. Like, me and my brother are both in gymnastics.
Yeah.
My brother did break his neck. I think it was a C3, C4, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like basically two vertebrae in his neck. He recovered. He had to wear the halo. You know, with the screws, actually screws in his head.
In the skull.
And I ended up having a similar accident, like I, did a trick and it was, or a pass, and I kind of fell kind of awkward because I got lost in the air. It did leave a little jolt in my body and stuff like that, but the physical therapy hurt. But she is like one of the ones who do gymnastics, and it comes out on the bad end. Yeah. You know,
that's fucked up.
But I ain't gonna lie, for gymnastics is one of those things, like, it enables you to do other things, like gymnastics helped me with football, soccer, basketball. It was a different thing.
I do a backflip with your eyes open, shit. You come kind of fearless.
Like I did one last weekend, and everybody was like, "Oh shit!" Like, you just do it out of nowhere, like, you know what I'm saying? But I think like we had talked about it earlier, like how people just perceive that they look at disabled people in a almost like a childlike form. They can't do shit. Oh, we don't want to. You're so fragile. Oh, we don't want to hurt you or break you or something like that. And clearly, you got a bunch of horny motherfuckers over there.
Yeah, that's wild, my little gal. Yeah, there's always some weird ass person out there.
Well, one of my cousins, she's in a wheelchair, but her guy been with her like before because she got shot. was it like 2-3 years ago probably? It was probably like 2-3 years ago. She got shot because she was with a baby daddy or ex-boyfriend or some shit like that. But they did a drive-by and ended up shooting, but they ended up shooting her, and now she's in a wheelchair, what the case is. But she's been with the guy that she's with now since the shit's happened already. So like, I know shit can, because I don't know all their situations and shit like that, but I don't know if it's like there's people out there looking for a person in a wheelchair, whatever weird type shit that
I guess it's probably like having sex with a lazy person. You just got to do all the work. What?
No,
I mean, maybe.
It depends she has on a sex swing.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the ones in the wheelchair.
She more able-bodied than me. Shit, I ain't got no goddamn sex swing. So
shit. Alright.
Yeah, so hey, it all depends.
Yeah, I was like, it depends on the person and like what part of their body, because like they could probably participate in some kind of way and shit. Because I mean, hell, you got physical women that can't do shit in the bedroom. So like.
They like a starfish.
Yeah, so he said it like a starfish. They just lay in there.
You see them move every 18 minutes.
Yeah, so like I can only imagine like with disabled people it's a lot different. Like people have different forms or whatever. Like
it's just weird.
How they I think you gotta cater to their needs a little bit more, depending on the disability. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, it depends though, because some of these niggas got fetishes and that shit just weird.
That is.
Yeah.
Like you want to check a paraplegic off your
bucket list.
You ain't got shit better else to do in life. That's just weird.
That's not in my top. That's not in my fetish list.
No, that's just weird.
Damn, I'm cool.
Start to get it 3, 2, 1.
Oh shit.
When it comes to my parents, a lot of the time, because I'm paraplegic, I was in a car accident when I was 11. Wheelchair accessible vehicles are very, very expensive, so it's my parents or my brother that often have to take me from place to place. I know a lot of the time they don't mind, and my mind just takes it to that place just because I can be a very pessimistic thinker a lot of the time, but I do a lot of the time feel like a burden in that way.
I already know it's probably gonna break my mom's heart when she watches this, but before I could even figure out the words, felt like a burden to my parents because they took out so many loans before the VA finally agreed to cover me, and they didn't agree until I stopped having back surgeries. I still feel to a degree I'm a burden and I'm a result of why most of my family's in poverty. And part of that is kind of the reason I moved all the way to Los Angeles. My family's on the East Coast, and I figured if I'm not near them, they can't take care of me, so they're free to live however they want to live. I've had friends
That's fucking sad,
who have just left me because they didn't want to accommodate, and I try to work on that of like, no, I'm not a burden, but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah. I'm literally over here. It's just hard with her sitting. I know that I'm a burden. I would not be here without my mom. She's a single parent and she has sacrificed everything for me. She has sacrificed her well-being, her mental health. I don't think that I tell her often enough how much I appreciate her. But listening to you, I've lost friends because I was too much of a burden. I was too much of a hassle. I always feel like a burden, but I can't stand on that line simply because the people who love me would hate that I feel this way because I know that in their hearts I'm not a burden to them. But I would give anything to be able to make my life not affect others that I love negatively the way that it has.
Because it's the guilt that we feel with it, because it's like, my dad is like a very stereotypical Puerto Rican man. He does not show emotions, but I remember when I'd be screaming in the hospital, him fighting back tears because I know he blames himself because of his military service. And I feel just guilty, like if I didn't exist, or if just all, like my parents were pregnant before me and they lost that child. If that baby had stayed, my dad wouldn't feel so much pain about something he can't control about my life. And I hate that I can't make their lives easier.
It's the feeling of that it's out of control how you're making others feel. Because like usually, you know, if you're nice, that person's gonna feel good. This is something that we just are, and like it's hard enough to accept ourselves, and like asking somebody else to accept us is hard.
Oh my God. Can I give you love? Like,
the girl with the red dress, she kind of summed it up pretty good until like the end, because it's nothing that nobody could have done. Like half of them was either born with the condition, or the other half like accidents happen. So it's like I can understand like it's probably a burden. That's, I'm gonna be honest with you, until one of them probably have a kid or some shit like that, or they figure that shit out. Kids are burdens any fucking way. they just pack on a little extra because they're disabled or handicapped, or whatever the case is. But half of that shit is still not their fucking fault.
Right.
At the end of the fucking day, that ain't got shit to do with them. It's just like accidents and
it's normal.
Birth defects, or whatever the case is.
I mean, it's normal for any kind of human being to feel some kind of like self-doubt about anything. So, but I would say to these guys, in particular people, like, you feel like your parents feel, you like, you're saying that you feel like your parents you feel that you're a burden to your parents, but it's not really like that. Cause like I'm like sitting here and it's like make me feel kind of way. Cause like as a parent, I would give up whatever the fuck I need to do for my child. Like so like in that aspect of that, I'm pretty sure the parents still feel that kind of way, even though, you know, most of them was like, okay, the debt thing, and you know, the dad blaming himself about the military service and stuff. I'm sure they kicking themselves, but at the same time,
that ain't shit you control.
That ain't shit. Yeah,
can't nobody control that shit.
Yeah, and then what matters to them more is like the existence of you, like.
And how the military treats our veterans is another whole different conversation. Like there's some shit like,
they should probably do for Jubilee too. They ain't never did no shit about the army.
But that's some shit that like kind of hits home, because I know so many veterans. I got family that's veterans. You know what I'm saying?
Homeless.
One of my buddies was like, you know, dealing with hella PTSD after he came back from Iraq. You know what I'm saying? Like this man literally like would sit up in the middle of the night, and I'm just sitting out there talking with him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just man, it's gonna be alright, blah blah. But he'll hear like 4th of July, like to me, that's the worst thing you can for a veteran. Like that is, and when they do it like in August, like, you know what I'm saying, that's even
all year
crazy.
Round,
like,
like you're not prepared for that.
Which I still remember what the Asian guy was saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? He said, man, it's hard to be in a relationship because I'm not always thinking about that, because I'm thinking about like how long I'm gonna be alive. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? You don't think about that. You don't think like, man, like some of these disabilities do come with life expectancy. Like, what's the one that sickle cell?
Yeah.
Like the life expectancy is like 45. Yeah, you got people like T-Boss right now is like 47 or 46, whatever. You know what I'm saying? She's at the peak.
Yeah, one of my homies has sickle cell.
Yeah, Prodigy from Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? He died at 45. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the hourglass of your life.
I mean, being a human in general, like, you know, puts things in perspective. It's a mind game at the same time too. We all kind of equal in the sense where we all on that time glass too, because there's no telling what the fuck. There's so many different elements and shit that,
especially right now,
that us humans have to deal with and shit. So like, you never know with anything.
I thought that was it. Yeah, so I guess it's still more. Starting in 3, 2, 1. I would change my disability.
That's interesting.
Change or get rid of?
I don't know. That's a weird question, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm right here because it has taught me many life lessons, and it has made me a stronger person. When I was younger, I would used to get stared at a lot, and so, you know, that would really affect me. But because I experienced that, you know, I now have the strength to realize that how others are looking at me doesn't matter. It's given me a lot of opportunities to help people get out of their dark times. Because if I never experienced depression, you know, I would not be able to help people with depression.
For me, I don't have a before. Being disabled's the only thing I've ever known. The word itself comes with a lot of community. It comes with a history that I'm so proud to be a part of, that I couldn't see myself living any other way. And like, I know people will say, well, there are more things about you than just your disability. And that's true for everyone. There are other things about me, but everything I do as a disabled person. And for me, that's the most empowering thing. I would change maybe, like, I wish I could feel my feet again. That would be great, but I really wouldn't change much because it's given me such a community that I don't think I would have had.
Even though I know that I've had an impact on people and I can relate to people in a way that I probably couldn't have before, I'm in pain every second of every day. I would give almost anything to not have that anymore. I got sick young, but I don't remember what it's like not to be in pain every day. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
I have lived both experiences, and similar to you, I also am in pain almost every single day. If I were to be able to take and swallow a pill tomorrow that would make me better, I would still be able to take all of the lessons and experiences that I've been able to garner from this accident and continue to build off it and do better things. But I think I would be really lying to myself to say that I wouldn't change it, because I went from being someone who literally was as athletic as you could ever be, flying high and doing things with my body, and I feel very privileged to have lived that. And I know what that feels like, and I miss it every single day.
That's just a weird ass question. They should have just asked him, like, I guess, that you not want to be disabled or some shit like that. Because you say change your disability,
right?
Like, you want me to switch there's some shit that's already wrong with me or some shit like that.
Like, do we know what's wrong with the black girl, the one with the cane? Did she ever say?
She said she had seizures. That's all she just said, but she didn't say like exactly.
What exactly? I think she did.
She didn't say technically what it is.
What it is.
Right, she just
gave like the
she
symptoms
had
of
seizures,
it.
but I'm like,
she probably don't want to give you the technical term. Yeah. She probably can't pronounce it or something.
Yeah, because I could barely pronounce, because she said some shit
too. Spina bifida, like spina bifida, like, or even girl, she had the sleeping disorder. Like, it's not narcolepsy. It's something way different.
Yeah. Starting again in 3, 2, 1. You have to assume to their best ability, though.
Yeah. Not because, like, I don't love my life or anything like that. I can't say I'm fulfilled until, you know, I impact more people. I'm working to be a motivational speaker, and so I have a lot more to accomplish.
Again, going back to the last question, if I could change everything, of course, but I think that my life and my example is starting to help people in many different facets. And I think part of being a good human is trying to help as many people in your life, and I think I'm starting to do that.
Wow. It was so nice meeting you guys. We all have to stay in touch. You guys are amazing.
Man, hell, let's have people that don't fulfill shit half their damn life and they perfectly bodied able to do things, so shit.
We can easily go outside and see the same 4, 5, 6 dudes that been there for 20,000 years.
Right. Shit, I used to live over here. I grew up over here, and half these niggas are still the same sitting over here, if they not dead.
There's still people that stay out west and out south and still ain't been downtown. So.
Yeah.
Take the green line.
Chicago Avenue bus, you right there.
Yeah. Take the green line, be right at State Lake.
So shit, if they living their life and they got a group of people that either with the same disability or what the case is, and they they happy and shit, and they got their shit going on. They living their life to their best ability. Shit, that's the best they can do. Yeah. I mean, shit. Man, niggas out here with full ability ain't doing shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's out with mental disability for real.
Right. But